Back here in the garage with our 2000 Dodge 2500. This is an extended cab pickup which I run an 8-foot Western plow on. Unfortunately lately I tore the truck apart, put it back together only to find out it had no 4-wheel drive, but after investigating we found out it was nothing I did. On the front axle there's a vacuum actuator that shifts a small gear in and out to engage the front axle 4-wheel drive. Also triggers a switch that tells you it's in 4-wheel drive. What I found out was there's a couple of lines that connected in there. They are completely rotted off, as was the valve. The valve was really in bad shape till I got it all apart. It's just a little vacuum actuator. It had holes in it till I got it all apart. This is actually the end cap. That's how it's supposed to hook up. You can see that one also had a hole in it. This one was literally completely gone. There's just a hole in it. So that's part of the reason it wouldn't work. But let's take a look at it and we'll show you where they go in there. Okay, here we are underneath the front axle of the truck. You can see the spot where the gear is there. You can see it right there. There's just a gear in there. It literally slides back and forth. The vacuum shifts that back and forth. Right now we're in 2-wheel drive. You see the 2 different shafts. That will slide over enough to engage both those shafts and run them together. One of the reasons why I quit is these lines right here. You can see they're totally rotted. So I'm going to replace all of that. I'm going to try just putting rubber hose on it, see if that works with the vacuum. This old truck, for being central Pennsylvania, is getting rotted pretty bad. I already redid my brake lines, but it sits a lot, so things are starting to get pretty rotten. But for a plow truck, works great. So we're going to take a look at the actuator, which is out on the bench, that actually bolts up. Okay, I'm holding in my hand is the actual actuator that goes on there. On this end we have the indicator switch, which tells you you're in 4-wheel drive. On this end we have the vacuum actuator, which 2 hoses to, one shifts it into 4-wheel drive, one shifts it out of 4-wheel drive. That all goes in there, is held in with E-clips or C-clips. Also there's a breather for the front axle that hooks to a hose. It just goes up, kind of a vent. That's what that is for. On the other side of this, when you look at it, there's a fork here, so it shifts that back and forth. It just slides back and forth. My hands are all over oil. And that shifts the 4-wheel drive in and out. Probably only has a little over 1/2 inch travel. And that's actually held in. There's a C-clip right there on that side. C-clip right there, and the whole thing is held in by another C-clip right there to hold the actuator in. There's 2 little plastic slides on here, there and there, which go into that gear which I showed you underneath there. If everything works right, we're going to go in there and we're going to put this, going to mount it in there like this. The wiring's hanging in there. I'll hook that up, put these 4 bolts in, hook the vent line up, run 2 vacuum lines which go back onto the transmission in that area, hook it up, and I'm going to see if 4-wheel drive works. That's the way the vacuum actuator works. Alright, here's a look at the installed 4-wheel drive actuator on the front axle. You can see on the left you have the 4-wheel drive indicator hook up. This little hose here is just a breather running up the top there for the front axle breather. I have to make those 2 connections there yet. I have to jump up onto the frame above the light This is one of the lines. It'll come down here with this other line. It'll run back here to the transmission. I'm going to hook up a couple pieces of hose and see if it'll shift into four-wheel drive. Okay, here we are back under the Dodge. I've put the hose onto these lines that run over on this cross member and they go up into the top of the transmission. All I did was put these hoses on, something like that, routed them along the frame, and then down to the actuator. And as luck have it, I put it together and it was actually together correct the first time around. So that is the four-wheel drive actuator on a 2000 Dodge 2500